And then lunch, okay? And I'm like, how is this scary? I'm like, I don't understand how, because I'm only seeing it from what I'm seeing from my perspective.
Right.
So I'm not seeing what the camera's really picking up. And I went back and looked at the footage and I'm like, oh, that is freaky. Okay, I see where you're going from. I actually did that to someone today during the photo op there outside the curtain. I was just standing there staring at
Yes, that was great.
and it worked. I'm like, wow, it does work. It was, that's when I had to realize, like, yeah, Damien knows exactly what he wants. He knows how everything is look. I just know to trust him when he tells me to do something. I'm like, okay. I might be like, fuck, but I'm like, he knows what he wants. It's gonna work. It's gonna work. We've had those moments where we're like, what?
I love telling that because a big trust exercise really is Terrifier 1 is when he had to skin the woman and then prance, dance around, basically wearing his scalp and everything. And I always tell people, like, this was not Terrifier when we were shooting Terrifier. This was just some weird fucking low budget killer clown movie, and like nobody knew what we were doing. And even that night when I was making him do that, like in my head I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? What is it? It's like 4 o'clock in the morning. We're doing this. I think it was Samantha Scafini's first night working with David, and that's how she met him. Like,
I was like, hi, I'm David, and these are my boobs. She's like, this is awesome. I'm like, you're gonna be fun.
Yeah. So, but that's it. I love telling the story. Huge testament to him as an actor because originally that wasn't written that way in the script. In the script, he skins her and he wears her parts on over the clown costume. And I think a couple of weeks before we shot it, I'm like, that's not gonna work. That's not gonna be effective. I said it'll be so much more effective if he's naked wearing them. And then I love doing things with the slashers that you never see them do. These sort of everyday mundane things that you take for granted or whatever. But when you see a killer do it, it's so bizarre and shocking. Like him taking a glass of water, him going to the bathroom, him getting naked. You never see Freddy just get naked. So I'm like, yeah, that's a burnt hot dog. But I'm like, let's take a risk. Let's go for it, and see what happens. And I call him up and I tell him, man, this is a guy who's never been in a movie before, and he certainly never had to get naked in a movie before. So I don't know what the hell. I don't know what this reaction is going to be. But to his credit, he goes, and I tell him the idea, and then there's like a bit of a pause, and he goes, all right. He's like, well, Catherine's going to be naked in that scene. He's like, I might as well take one for the scene too. And I thought that was just an amazing attitude, and it was just really easy to work with him, as awkward as it was to film that.
I felt so sorry for the crew that night. All those guys who had to sign up to see my butt all night. I was constantly making butt jokes like that. I was like singing like Over Parma or Blue Moon or They Got Back. Anything to keep it good. But we had like the next day we had a day off, and I was staying with the crew in the cabin, and we were all sitting around the campfire. We're all kind of sit there just like, oh yeah, last night. That was something. I'm sorry, guys. And then I had to show my ass again in person.
Then I knew he was comfortable.
Right, you were a lot more comfortable with it. Right. That one take though, because we had a car go by outside and honk the horn. I'm like, oh god.
Yeah.
And then the cops came.
That's what. Cop showing.
Yeah, it had to be a very attractive female cop too. I was like, oh great. He comes in. And Dave's like, Dave, let's go fuck with the cops again. I'm like, no, not like this. No.
Yeah. That was interesting. Because we didn't have permission to shoot in that. No, we had permission to shoot in that laundromat, but we didn't have permission to shut down the street or anything outside. So there's that opening part where he enters, we had to have him keep crossing the street. So people outside started seeing a killer bloody clown walking in and out.
They're on their way to work in the morning in New Jersey, and they just see this thing walking across the street like that. That's why.
Yeah, so now we're on their radar, and then we have him getting naked and doing this. And when it came time to shoot that, the sun was starting to come up, and people were going to work, so the traffic outside was getting you can see there's a car go by in that shot because the cars are coming by every 20 seconds. And he's naked right there, and then I was like, whoop, the cops come pulling up. I'm like, oh, here we go. I'm like, Dave, get in the back.
I'm just sitting there on the chair with the newspaper covering it. It's she was like, so, sir, can you stand up? I'm like, I don't think you want that. It's like, well, I got a report there was a clown covered in blood coming. I was like, yes, that was me. Hi.
These movies can be quite uncomfortable.
You shot in 2015 or 2016?
The first movie we shot in 2016. Oh, we did, yeah.
Oh, so you're like pushing 10 years.
Oh,
What does that feel like? Doesn't feel good, does it?
no, man. Time's flying. It's wild, man. That's everything regarding this movie. The word I just keep throwing out is surreal. It's just the way everything.
Oh, it's real, baby. It's
quite
real.
Yes, it is, man. But
We have a question here?
Yeah.
I would love for you to ask it.
So you said that you don't have a lot of permission in the places that you go. What's your best encounter that you've had going into?
It's the other cop story. So this was the first one. It's the night we're filming Tara's death, and they're filming her with the blood coming out of her face and everything like that. And so I'm just waiting in the holding room, got all my makeup on, covered in blood. Forget how I look. And we're in this like really bad area of Trenton.
you gotta set the tone. Like we're shooting in Trenton, New Jersey, which is literally one of the worst areas in the United States. It's really crime-ridden. It's a really bad neighborhood.
Yeah, that building that we were in was not set dressing. That place, that bathroom was that nasty.
And it's sad. It was all just like drug dealers and junkies.
Oh, we would be out in the street filming people. Like, what you filming over here? Get out here! And they're just standing there in the shed, like, can you please move? Oh, I'm sorry.
We had a guy. He was just out of his mind, just junkie, just walked right into the middle of our shot, head first into our light stand. And we were just there in silence, just watching him just continue on along his line.
I'm sorry. Sorry, man.
I don't know. It really might be. It really might be.
Yeah, but it's like maybe 2 o'clock in the morning.
Wait, so worst place in New Jersey, and then we were firing off that gun all night.
Later though.
Did we?
Because we
I
had
think
a lunch
that's why
break.
they were
Yeah.
called.
No, this is why they were called. It's because there were these-
Conflicting stories here. Let's just get it sorted out.
there were these 2 ladies that were outside having a very Jerry Springer conversation. And I'm like, well, I'm bored. I'm gonna go see what's happening here. So I go over and I'm like just watching it. I'm just at the window, just hi. And they look up and see me, and I'm like, hi.
Were you in costume?
I was in full costume. I did not think how I looked. I was like, hi. And then, running off. I'm like, oh, yeah. About 10 minutes later, Damien and our producers come in, they're kind of giggling and stuff like that. They're like, hey Dave, we got someone out here that wants to meet you. And like, oh, cool, because at the time, like, Phil had just done work with Tom Sizemore or something like that, so I thought there was talk that he might visit set. I'm like, okay, he's gonna come set at 2 o'clock. I'm like, cool. I know Tom Sizemore, so, you know. But, so we're just sitting there, and I'm like, okay. And they're like, well, don't come out till we tell you to. I'm like, because it was in the garage, or so I had that garage door that rolls up and stuff like that. We want you to surprise him. I'm like, okay, cool. And they're like, Dave, come out. So I roll up the garage door, and I come up. And there's like 10 or 15 of New Jersey's finest, like full-on riot gear.
Oh, wow. Dangerous.
Yeah,
Dangerous.
that's how they responded to that whatever call they got. And I'm just like, my butt is so. I'm like, oh God, this is where I die. And so I'm just like, how can I defuse the situation here? And I'm like, think quick, Dave. And I'm like, and there's silence. And I'm just like standing there like, oh God. And then they just start laughing their heads off. They're like, yeah, if you came out here first, we would have shot you on sight. And I'm like, I believe because our porta potty was right out there. And I'm like, I am so glad they didn't show up when I was using the bathroom, because I would have to go right back in there. But the best part was there was this one cop that was deathly afraid of clowns. And they're like, hey, Johnny, come over here, take a picture with me. No, man, I can't do it, man. Can't do it. I'm like, dude, you got a rocket launcher on you. I think you got to. But they're like, so, and that's when we explained that we're probably going to be shooting guns or something like that. So if you hear any more reports about gunshots going off, it's probably us like, oh yeah? Oh, you need a body or anything? We got one down at the station. Like, I don't need one. I'm like,
What?
are you serious? I don't think we know if they were serious or not, but it was like, but they loved it. They thought it was hysterical. And it was just like, yeah.
Well, based on the location that you were filming at and how you described that, that was probably the biggest breath of fresh air that they had in that environment.
Yeah, it's so good. It was an experience, but that's been like a running thing with me in movies I've been filming with these guys. Because even when we were filming Stream, which they released the trailer this week.
Yeah, I haven't gotten to check it out yet, but I heard a little bit of buzz about it just before.
Yeah, well, we filmed this thing in a hotel in Gettysburg during COVID in January. And this hotel is huge, so there's like, who's going to Gettysburg during COVID in January? Anyway, so we like basically took over this hotel. But apparently there's still people staying there. And they didn't tell these people we were filming a horror. And there's a scene where I'm stalking my victim down the hallway, and they have this crazy lighting and stuff like that. I got blood all over me, and I look freaky in this thing. If you've seen the trailer, I'm wearing this freaky mask and stuff like that. And I'm just doing take after take after take, going down the hallway, just stalking around and stuff like that. All of a sudden, this woman busts out of her room like, "Whatever you're doing is very effective. We are second amendmenters and you almost got shot." She had her gun in her hand, and I'm like, oh my God. I'm so glad I did not stop at that door and look, because and she took footage of it from the peephole.
Wow.
And she showed it to us. I'm like, oh my God, that does look freaky. I can see what
Did you get a hold of that footage? Is that
I don't know. They interviewed her for like some behind the scenes.
That's wonderful.
Stuff like
Long
that.
story short, all these movies have been employed to just kill Dave. And
Yeah.
it hasn't worked yet.
And so this movie that we're talking about, Danny, you did special effects on that, and you were a producer. Is that accurate?
They may have given me a producer credit, but it's my buddies who they co-produced Terrifier 2 with me, Buzz on the Lens.
Yep.
So they needed help. They did so much for me. 3 years. Yeah. Told them Terrifier 2 was supposed to take like 2.5 months to shoot. It wound up taking 3 years. So I owe these guys a lot. So I did the special effects for their film.
This is like the most relaxed I've ever seen this guy on a set before, because he's like, I just have to show up and do the special effects. So he's just like, okay, what am I doing today? Okay.
Yeah, the hotel is warm. I had my own room. I could pass out whenever I wanted to. It was fantastic.
He was actually sitting there editing the Terrifier 2 when he wasn't doing the special effects. He was just in his room.
But it was cool because I got to basically do all these makeups like out of my kit, so, which was like, it's like Halloween every day on set, just coming up with cool things, whatever I had lying around to make stuff happen. So it was fun. I needed that break from Terrifier.
Just glance at the time. We've got about 15 minutes left. So if there's more questions.
In addition to being a horror fan, I'm also a wrestling fan. How did Chris Jericho get involved with Terrifier 2? And are you guys done working with him, or?
I thought it was cute.
No. Yeah, Jericho's the man. He's a huge horror fan, and I think on his tour bus, one of his bandmates showed him the clips of Terrifier, the Hacksaw. He's like, dude, you gotta check it out. You would love this movie. He's like, oh, the Killer Clown movie, come on. And then he loved the Hacksaw scene, went back and watched the whole movie, became a fan. I think he ran into you at a con. They were both working at a con. He had Dave as a guest on his podcast. Then I met him at a con. Yeah. And then we got to talking, and he just said what a big fan he was. He said, listen, dude, if you ever make another one of these or something, he's like, I'd love to be a part of it. I'd love to have a role or something. And then I went home that night. I was like, get him in there.
It's a different scene too.
Yeah, don't spoil that.
Oh.
Yeah, the original scene we're actually bringing back in part 3. I've been wanting to use this scene. But it's even his scene originally in Terrifier 2 was different. Did you guys hear about the whole Malignant story with the end of Terrifier 2? So the mid-credit sequence when she gives birth to Art's head, that wasn't originally the ending. So originally, Chris Jericho and Leah, the nurse, they go into the room, and Victoria's like freaking out on the floor, and she's like grabbing the back of her head and screaming, and they go over to see what's wrong. She's like, oh, my head hurts, man. And then they move her hands away, and she rips the back of her skull open, and you see Art growing on the back of her head while doing it. And but it was like he bites her fingers off, she loses her fingers, and Jericho goes in there, and there's like a big fight. We shot this whole different ending. And then I edited it, and the only thing I didn't do, we had to do some visual effects to put Dave's face onto the dummy art clown head that I had there so you could see the smile and everything. So that was the only thing left to do. And like 2 months go by or something, and all of a sudden I get a call from my buddy, and he goes, "You see Malignant?" And I'm like, "Nah." He's like, "Might want to watch the end of that." I was like, "What?" I'm like, "Oh, don't tell me this." And I go home and I watch it, and it's like, the reveal is like identical. And not only is it identical, I mean, they did it 10 times better than we did anyway. And I'm like, fuck, we gotta go back to the drawing board, we can't do that. So I didn't know if I was gonna just completely cut it out, but I love having the cliffhanger. I wanted the audience to know he's coming back in some really insane way. And then one day I was just going back and forth talking to my production designer, Olga, and we're just trying to come up with other weird places he can come from or come at him. And she jokingly kind of said, you know, in a more crude way, but she was like, you know, she could give birth to him. And almost jokingly though, we were just trying to like outgross each other. And I was like, no, I was like, you know what, that's actually brilliant. I'm like, but she won't give birth to like him or a baby or like just his head will come out. And that's where it came from. And it's a blessing in disguise. It changed so many things. So
It sounds better.
yeah. So, but not a lot of people know that story. Maybe one day I'll release that. The only reason it was never released because it does not work at all. I would hate people to see it without the CGI on it, which we don't use CGI, but for something like that, like even when you see her in the version where she gives birth to him, like holding Dave's head, you know, we digitally had to put Dave's head onto that fake head so we can look around and smile. So those are the ways I like to use CGI. If you put like an eyeball onto a prop or something like that, or erase things, but it's always 99% practical. Lights on.
Any other questions? Yes.
What are your favorite bloopers from the most recent film?
Oh.
That's not an answer.
My favorite. I hope you really
From the new one?
Yeah, from the new one. It's oh, I don't mind. I call myself Fart the Clown for that one.
Oh.
Yeah, because it's the scene where I have the club and I'm rearing back with Kaylee, and I'm rearing back and I go right there, and I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. And I
That's just killing poor kid.
yeah, and she just starts, I go, whoops, that's what I was. Whoops. Kaylee just dies on the floor laughing, and I hear everybody in Video Village just laughing their heads off and stuff like that.
What now? Was it like bad? Did it smell? Was it?
No,
smell
thankfully,
okay.
no. But I'm still mortified.
It was so gross.
No, it just squeaked right out. It was like, oh no. But Elliot outdid me there though. But that was another night where we're extremely tired. Elliot's vegetarian.
He's crazy good.
Oh yeah. But I think he had a lot of broccoli that night. Oh. And I'm just sitting there, and he's sitting on the crash pad behind us when we're doing the whole shotgun scene where he shoots me. And we're just tired. He's sitting there saying, "Hey, Dave." I'm like, "Yeah, buddy." And the sound that came out of that boy, it shook the pad I'm on. And I could not stop laughing. We could not film because I could not stop laughing for about 10 minutes there. I was like, holy crap! His dad was like, that's my boy! That's my boy! Elliot is like the kindest, sweetest kid. So you don't expect that from him. I would expect it from his dad, but you know. I was like, I love you so much more now, kid. That's how comfortable we got to be on set.
Well, you kind of have to be when you're in the trenches with people like that. You just gotta become like instantly comfortable with people.
Yeah,
You
it's
know.
very intimate.
Yeah, much to his chagrin. It's like, oh God, I can't go in here with you guys anymore.
Any other questions out there? Yes.
Was the budget only $35,000 for the first one? Is that
Yeah.
true?
Yeah, it wound up costing, once we got it, we shot the movie for 35, and then once we got into post-production and all those other costs you don't see coming that you need, it was probably 55,000 altogether, which is still
Good. You did okay.
yeah, thanks.
The second one and the third one.
Yeah, so the third one, we got the most money now, so I'm very excited to see what we can do with this big budget. Like I said before, I'm most excited for the cameras and the lenses we're gonna be using this time around, and the special effects team that I just hired is like mind blowing, so that's gonna be really exciting.
Trusting Art the Clown in somebody else's hands. Incredible.
Yeah.
You're
Well,
really
they're
growing up as a filmmaker.
Yeah. Well, they're using, again, it's like, they don't wanna, you know, revise anything, they don't wanna take a crack at like resculpting Art the Clown. They know it works the way it is. So like, we're still taking all the things that I have, like his molds and everything. They're still using the same prosthetics. You know, they want to make sure that he remains, you know, consistent.
Yeah, for sure. Yes, and then I'll take this one.
So I told you guys earlier, I met Charlie in Orlando a couple years back, and I told you how much I liked it. He said the second one was the first one was like a Disney film. And now I can't eat Rice Krispies.
I see, it just made me love Rice Krispies even more.
Does Mark have other friends? Like a little girl, are there gonna be more friends to show up in the next one?
Yeah, we're getting into spoiler territory.
Yeah, we don't want spoilers, man. Come on. One of the things I like so much about that
I'm
world.
gonna say yes. I just can't elaborate on it. But yeah.
That I really like that surreal element of your film is that the questions that you have about these characters that aren't necessarily resolved. You know?
Yeah. I think that's important
Yeah.
to maintaining an effective sort of mystique about the character. That I always loved with the characters when they spell out exactly what they are and what their backstory is. I think it takes all the magic, especially
Sure.
all the fear away. And that doesn't mean I'm not going to explain things or I don't, you know.
But you're gonna take your time to do it.
There's a proper way to do it, and yeah, and just knowing that I want to make more films, I don't want to just give it all away in one. Like I love that it's a giant puzzle that you're starting to slowly put the pieces together. I think that's a fun way to explore. And keep you entertained, and keep you questioning, keep you interested, and keep you coming back for more.
So, and I am gonna get back to you. Do you consider art like your Freddy Krueger, your Jason Voorhees? Like you want to continue to just keep telling stories? You don't have like, I'm gonna do 3 films, and then I'm done, and then I'm moving on.
I do consider him my slasher.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. I know I'll never be able to top this character. There's no way. He's lightning in a bottle. But no, I don't like saying like in this amount of films or 3 is the last one or whatnot, but I do have, once I wrote part 2, I knew where I was going to end this. So I know where it ends, and I don't want to.
It's just a matter of taking the time to get there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't want to just keep making them for the sake of making them.
This year's summer blockbuster.
Art in space.
Cool, and on that note.
Someone can hear you fart.
I wanted to ask, so Art the Clown, he's hilarious. Like every scene that he's in, like when he's interacting like with someone who's trying to escape from him, he's always playing with them, he's always toying with them. And I wanted to ask, like, so you know like how in some of the scenes like where you know, the woman like will run, she ran into the garage in the first movie, and then he just honks his horn at her, like trying to like just trying to, you know, be like, screw you, you know. I was wondering if there
Still having fun. Still having fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to ask if there were other ideas you had in mind, like for the first and second film with him, like messing with other characters, like just to either, you know, just to be silly and fuck around with them, you know?
Yeah, we definitely did. There's one I just know for a fact, but I can't think of like a specific thing where he guys gonna have him do something really funny. But that happens a lot because I always try and walk a fine line. I never want him to be too goofy. So we'll come up with like ideas of, I like him being able to wink at the audience after he kills somebody to do something funny, because it allows me to do something more horrible to that person, and then I get the audience to laugh again. Kind of like makes them, you know, feel more comfortable and be like, all right, this is just a movie where we're not taking ourselves too seriously.
They're still fun without being, you know, something like Saw, which is not fun.
Exactly.
I think of when I had Terror tied up to the chair, because I was doing little comedy bits with all my different toys in there. And I was doing like, there was this weird club thing we had with big spike, so it reminded me of a golf club, so I was doing the whole Johnny Carson golf swing thing. Like I was gonna hit her knees, like, get it, oh, no. Yeah, it was that kind of stuff, and then, because we filmed that kind of stuff, and, you know, I think Phil's like, I think this is too funny, this is gonna take away.
We do that a lot, which is great. We explore a whole spectrum. And he'll take it, you know, we'll start with nothing, and then he'll take it really far, and then we'll reel it in, and we'll pick something in the middle. Like even when you have to take the second exterminator, Will the Exterminator, and Terrifier, and he kicks his head. And Dave was doing goal. It's hysterical, but I'm like, that's for me, that's too much. It's like, let's just kick the head. To me, that's funny enough, you know.
It's like with we had so much stuff we filmed in part 2 with the possum scene. There's this part where you see me with a stick in my hand, because I was like great fetch with the pot. I was treating him like a dog, so I'm like, play dead.
Play dead, fetch. She had him as like a puppet and doing all this stuff, and it was great stuff. And I actually wanted to use that stuff. I didn't feel like it was too much, but it was too much that the kid was just standing there watching this like it was a play for 5 minutes. Like I had it there 10 minutes ago, so I'm like, I gotta cut this out, man. I'm sorry, I gotta cut it down.
Of course, the costume shop scene.
Costume shop, he's playing with whoopee cushion, he's wearing all different kinds of glasses, who knows, yeah. So yeah, we have fun with those scenes. Oh yeah.
We've run out of time. I'm gonna end it with one more question, and this one's for David. You were on the floor earlier and you were performing, so you were performing as Art the Clown, you were full method. I can't imagine you go full method well on the set.
No.
Yeah, because you've got to, right.
No, I think everybody would kill me.
Yep, sounds right.
I still like to play pranks. I'm always doing, because I think also like when you're doing this morose stuff constantly, you know, it's good to add some levity and stuff like that. It's not just me, we have other people in the crew and the cast and Joker, so we all.
Well, I've noticed with horror fans, we all tend to just like to joke around and have a lot of fun despite our morbid tastes.
Oh, yeah.
So it's often a very entertaining place to be on a horror set.
I also like to scare people on set, so I this my little initiation ceremony I do. I did especially for Lauren and Kaylee the first day I was on set with them. They were in the dressing room getting fixed up, and I'm outside of the door. There's a window there, and I'm just staring at the door for like 10 minutes. Oh, did you break something? and I'm just sitting there, because when I want to scare someone, I dedicate myself to it. So I stood there for 10 minutes at least, just waiting for one of them to turn around.
That's a dedicated scare.
Yeah, and then they turn out,
and it was all
like,
worth
the Terrifier! And I was doing this constantly to Lauren, though, on the set, which I was risking my life because she has a black belt and teaches kickboxing. But I like the joke, and I would just sneak up behind her all the time when she's just talking to somebody casually, and I'm just standing behind her, like, she's around, I'm like right there in her face.
Well, we love Terrifier.
I was gonna say, we just think it's important not to break that illusion of Art the Clown. You know, if you had him walking around talking like this,
Yeah, absolutely.
It doesn't quite work.
No. It's more fun for me too, because I get to, I want people, if they're gonna have photos with me, I want to give them a real experience.
Absolutely.
Because it would be weird, like, hey, how you doing? Let's take a photo.
Well, everyone, let's give a very big thank you all for coming out, because if you guys didn't up here, it would make this really awkward. So thank you guys for coming out.
You guys are awesome. Thank you.